Hello and welcome along to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's another episode of Leeds United Latest with myself, Stephen Brown, and joining me as ever, Jason Booker. Welcome along, everyone. If you're watching live, please do smash a like on the video, get your comments in. We will respond to them. And also, please do remember to subscribe to the channel as well. And please, if you're watching this again later, do the same as well. Jay, well, we're back. We're back to it. Premier League is back, but you and I, we didn't have a chance to catch up on FA Cup matters last weekend. A resounding victory against Norwich through to the quarter-final. We know who that's against now. It's West Ham, and it's interesting because obviously I think the games are. I think we're going to play on the 4th of April, I believe, the Sunday the 4th of April, and obviously then we've got the last game of the season against West Ham. So it could turn into one of those situations where you're seeing a lot of the same team and you're in direct competition, and it could be pretty interesting. But just to kind of round up on last weekend, obviously a big opportunity for a lot of the fringe players, and I mean, it was remarkably straightforward for Leeds United in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too plussed about the draw, if I'm honest. It feels like a bit of a stinky one for me, and it just kind of feels like it's something that could swing momentum. I don't like it. But maybe it could swing momentum in our way. That's the way that I kind of have to look at it. But yeah, coming to the game, mate, I mean, a lot of people were saying it were a potential banana skin.
Yeah.
Norwich have been on pretty good form. They'd won 9 out of 11 going into that game. They had an awful start to the season under now Huddersfield town boss Liam Manning. So they were really, really struggling, and Clement has kind of turned them round and done a good job. And I think if he'd have been there from the start of the season, they'd have been in with a chance of the top 6 based on the form that they've been under since he was gone there. So went into it as a bit of a potential banana skin, especially when you then see the selection. There were a lot of changes. We saw away at Birmingham that when we made them amount of changes, that it didn't really click in the way that we wanted it to. I think that were more down to the fact that we were away from home. Birmingham were riding a bit of a crest of the wave. I think that were a real tricky game to navigate, even though it were a championship team. Still felt like it were a huge opportunity for a banana skin, of which we won. We got past. So this was very different. We score a goal that then gets ruled out, and that just set us off for 20 minutes. Yeah. We just then turned it on, and the game was dead and buried. The game was dead and buried within 20 minutes of the first half, really. Once we'd scored that first goal, the following 20 minutes. And I've said this a few times this season, but it then looked like every championship game from last season. We were 2-0 up. We sat a little bit deeper. We encouraged team onto us, and we hit them on the break. And at some point or another, we were going to score that third goal, and we did. It was a beautiful finish. Good to see Perot get on the score sheet as well. Just from a personal point of view, more than anything, I don't think it's going to make any difference to our season, but I respect the fact of what he did for us over the last 2 seasons, especially last season, and it's nice to see him get on the score sheet. So, yeah, it was all a job done, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was lovely finish from Piru as well. And Scav says here, morning, all 3 points this weekend. Do you know, I don't say this lightly and I don't say this often, but watching us kind of comfortably bat away Norwich 3-0 and score a couple of beautiful goals, and it just being kind of all Leeds United's way, there was just maybe 1% of my brain was like, oh, I miss those days in the Championship when we just used to swat teams away, and it was like, oh, we can just celebrate, and we're winning games and we're scoring goals, we're having fun. Because when you're in the Premier League, my God, is it a different thing then to get any kind of victory? I mean, it feels like almost this year I've kind of celebrated draws like wins. I've kind of gone, oh, we got a point here, and it's like it's almost replace that feeling. So it was kind of nice to just swat aside a team and it to be so comfortable. It did make me kind of a little bit yearn for the Championship. I'm not saying I want to go back there, but it just you just remember. I mean, God, how many wins did we rack up in those 2 years, and how comfortable it was. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it really, when you look at it, it didn't feel it at the time, but when you look back at it, it was easy. A lot of the time, it was easy. There was the odd hiccup and the odd tricky game, but most of the time, even the games that we didn't win, we dominated in.
Yeah,
especially at home. So I know exactly what you meant. And without that pressure, the weekend just It were easy. It really was easy. Norwich had a couple of half moments there. There were one where Justin hooks a bit of a tackle in, and it goes through the gap in between Perry's leg and the post. Yeah. I have no idea how it finds this gap. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And then he hit the other player hits the post at the back post. It was a bizarre moment. I can't believe it fit through this gap. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the cup in general. Yeah. The 3 cup games that we've had, that Derby, Birmingham, and Norwich, have been nice distractions. Have been relatively comfortable. The Birmingham game had moments, but I thought it was a good test, and we overcame that. It's an opportunity for others to join, get in the side and play minutes. There were some that I thought were impressive in patches. There were some that I didn't think did themselves any favour again, personally, even in a good performance. So yeah, it's an interesting one, mate. And the most important thing is it does put us through to a winnable quarterfinal.
Yeah, I agree with you that I'm kind of like, I think I would have preferred Brentford. I think, even though Brentford are, have had a much better season. I think, like you say, it's just too close. There's too much. There's too much.
Or at home,
West Ham, or at home. Yeah. If we'd have got the home draw, absolutely. Going away to West Ham, and like you say, yeah, psychologically, what is the impact from that? Just you mentioned there about players and staking cases and all that kind of stuff. Were there any players there that you think have inched themselves closer to, if not necessarily starting, seeing more minutes potentially?
I thought Metcher was very, very good. I thought Metcher was very good. Not that he's then going to start instead of Calvert-Lewin, but there might be an opportunity that he starts with him. And I don't know whether he needs to stake that claim as such. I think Daniel Farke's well versed in his game. I just think it's whether he's fit and how we want to play in a particular game. I don't believe there's a world in which we go to Crystal Palace at the weekend and Metcher starts alongside Calvert-Lewin. I just don't see Farke doing that. No. So, but it's good that he's got that about him, even though he ended up not scoring in the end. He scored the one that got disallowed. I thought his all-round game was very, very good. His link-up play was good. He was running at players. He looked quick. He looked sharp. He was a nuisance. I thought he was better in the air. I thought he held the ball up better.
His goal involvements, by the way, Jay. I mean, it's another assist for him there. I mean, his minutes to goal involvements this season for a free signing is ridiculous.
He's been good. And, I'm not saying that we will, and nor should this ever be really a thought process. But if we do go down, Dominic Calvert-Lewin will move on. Yeah, because we wouldn't be looking at his wages in the Championship, and nor should he be looking to play Championship football. I think, given the way that this season's gone, he'll probably be in for a 20, 25, 30 million pound move, to be honest, going down. Lucas Metcher would be an absolute handful in the Championship. He'd be an absolute handful. And I think he would stay, to be honest, because, we're going to need some of the players that have taken it down to stay. So, he's been really useful. He's been very, very useful as a squad option and amongst this team. So, I thought Jacobiol just looked above, which is what we've said for weeks. You can just see he just oozes class. We looked so assured when he was on the pitch. I thought he was really, really good. And I am going to find it impossible to defend Farke if Biol doesn't start at the weekend.
Same, 100% same.
It doesn't become a question of whether Biol starts. It becomes a question of who starts alongside him. And if you drop Rodon, fine. If you drop Justin, fine. But he's got to start in that middle three. Got to. Others, can I be honest? I didn't think Tanaka were great. I didn't. No. I thought he had good moments. I thought it was one of his better performances, but I still thought he gave the ball away too much. I still thought he was careless in possession at times. I thought his out of possession work was erratic. It was good. There was moments where the harrying was good, but it didn't feel as controlled and it felt loose. But given the opposition, it didn't really play a part.
Yeah. We were doing it for me. Tanaka was kind of delaying giving the ball away sometimes as well. He was just hanging on to it a bit too long, and it's almost like you can see that he's kind of desperate to kind of be involved and touch the ball, and I get that, but it's kind of working against you at the same point. And I agree. I wasn't watching that Tanaka performance and going, he has to start the next game or he has to be more involved. Unfortunately, I mean, obviously, if we went down and we kept him, starts every week in the Championship. It's a no-brainer. But yeah, I wasn't looking at it and going, oh yeah, I'm blown away here. And like you say, it was mixed bag. He did some nice stuff. Some, other stuff was a bit hit and miss, but it wasn't that level where you were looking at going, oh yeah, he's knocking on the door. I didn't think that.
Life's like that, innit? And sports especially like that. The more you want something, the further it kind of moves away.
Yeah.
You have to be in a flow state. And I when people do say and make the argument of he needs fitness and he needs game sharpness and all this, I hear it to a point, but I don't agree overall. The problem with Altanaka is a mentality thing. Bear in mind that Altanaka lost his place in the team. Yeah. He didn't just take him out because he felt like it. He lost his place in the team out of form when he was in a flow state, playing games. So people forget that. They want to ignore that. Ilya Gruev came into the team and we improved. That's it. Yeah. Same for Sean Longstaff. Sean Longstaff got an injury which took him out of the team, but the team improved as a consequence, and that's why he's struggling to get back in.
What do you think of Sean Longstaff? Obviously a really good goal. I do think he got a little bit second half. I felt he kind of got caught out a couple of times, and I thought the changes came at a good time. But again, he's clearly got a kind of top mentality. You can see that just the way he carries himself and everything. But again, didn't feel like he's knocking on that door or he's going to be close to starting for me. But I could be wrong.
He's very, very, very basic. He's just basic. Yeah. And that's not being disrespectful to Sean Longstaff at all. He's still obviously a top-level footballer. Yeah. But everything that he does is just a 6 out of 10. Just basic.
Do you know what annoys me? Sorry to interrupt, but just before it goes out of my head, do you know what he does? And you can see it happening. He's on the ball and he's moving and the player's catching up to him and he has no awareness.
Yeah.
He's just like that. He's tunnel visioned and it's like, he's not, and someone will come in and snatch the ball, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Go on. No, right. You're right. And I think the thing is, and again, fans often don't see it, is that it's bigger than just the technical abilities of a footballer. His mentality, his experience out there makes a difference. It makes a difference to those around him. So I understand his value to the team and I understand what he's offered to Newcastle over the last few years, but it's very evident why he had to leave Newcastle with the likes of Joe Linton and Bruno, Lewis Miley coming through and some Tonali, the quality of the midfielders is levels and levels below that. And you saw that when Anton Stack came on. When Anton Stack came on, it completely revolutionised our midfield. It looks a completely different team. I'd say Ampadu at centre-back is a weird one. I couldn't understand that start, if I'm honest. The only thing that I can see from that is that Farke maybe thought, I want him out there, but as a centre-back, he's going to be less in the impact of the game. He's going to be out of the challenges. He's not going to be getting scrappy with Kenny McLean. No chance of injuries. He can just dictate stuff from the back. Maybe that were it. Take, Pascal out of the equation, rest him as well. Maybe that were it. And that makes somewhat sense now that I'm saying it out loud. The other one was obviously Willie Gnonto.
Yeah.
Personally, I didn't like a lot of the performance, and it feels like I'm just bashing him now. But he gets the ball with his back to goal too often and struggles to then either play it back to Gabby, he just gives the ball away. I thought there were some nice moments though. There was some nice in-pocket moments where he drove through the lines and he was able to, look for opportunities to create chances. And that is something that we do miss. I understand, and I understand this with Noah Okafor as well, that sometimes he's going to give the ball away, but it does then come with the offset, the payoff, that sometimes he's going to create a chance as well. There were a really great moment when he managed to get to the byline, he cut it back to Mecha, and Mecha somehow didn't score. It ended up coming off a defender. We didn't get a corner for it. It should have been a tap-in, really, but it was really nice work from Willie Gnonto, but I still think he gives the ball away too much. He never looks in control of it. And I found myself thinking during that first half, if Brendan did that, he'd be getting absolute pelters.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying to myself a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's It's a funny one with Willie because it's every time when he does play, when he comes on the pitch, I'm willing him to have his moment, to have that moment that just sparks it all off. Because there's no doubt there's a talented footballer there. But again, I mean, it's even funny you mentioned about Ampadu at centre back. It was just so championshipy, wasn't it? It was just such a championship vibe, and it's just a different kettle of fish when you're playing Premier League teams. And I think, you know, you could argue, I mean, against Sunderland a couple of weeks ago, could we have done with, you know, another outlet? You know, we just had Brendan and Calvert, you know, could we have just done with one more? But I think, you know, when Okafor, if you're comparing Okafor and Willie Gnonto, because I hear a lot of arguments about people saying about should we be bringing in Gnonto to kind of cover this period of time? Well, Okafor's out. Can he do some of what Okafor can? And it's like very slow. It's kind of, like you say, turn sideways. Ball ends up going back. And he doesn't, you know, he's got a good technique. He's got a good striking technique on the ball, but he just, you know, the amount of ones he doesn't get on target though that hits. Yeah. He smashes the ball. You go, God, that's a good technique, but it's gone 5 yards wide. You're like, okay. I don't know. I don't know if he just needs a moment, Jay. I don't know if, you know, you're just waiting for him to kind of explode out of it. I remember he had a really good run in the first championship season, and he was kind of carrying us a little bit for a run of games, and then got injured, and it kind of stopped it, and he didn't really recover it. And I don't think he's ever really had any consistency. He had very little impact last season. I can't remember much of what Willie did, and you know, he's had moments again. You know, with Tanaka, he started that first game this season. He had opportunities. There was a moment there. And obviously, you know, he's not been able to keep his place. I think, you know, a lot of people seem to automatically think that he should be back in there regularly and Farke needs to give him more opportunities. But look, I'm not saying it isn't difficult. It must be really hard if you're kind of an attacking player, you're coming on and you've got, 15 minutes to make something happen. And then if you don't, it's classed as a little bit of a failure again. It must be really difficult, but in the same breath, we've seen other players come in and take their opportunity. And, you know, you make a good comparison to Brendan, that you know, Brendan's numbers defensively, you know, they're incredible. And we can't live without. I mean, there was an Athletic article and it was talking about kind of defensive players further up the pitch. And, you know, you get players like Bernardo Silva, small, nightmares for defenders because they're just pressing, and Brendan's right up there for all that stuff, and you're not gonna take that out of the team. Yes, you might not always get, you know, much polish in the final product, but yeah, it's a tricky one for Willie. I do feel for him. I mean, it's been a strange career for him at Leeds, really. I mean, he burst onto the scene. You thought this guy's going to be a shining light. You know, we were probably thinking, yeah, we'll get a lot of resale value on this guy. Signed him for 5 million. Probably signed him for. They were probably at his peak, or when the excitement about him reached its pinnacle, you're probably thinking 30 million, 40 million even. And it's, you know, just not happened. He obviously had the transfer request. He was like the one that couldn't get away. It's like all the others had the loan clauses, and he was the one who was like, didn't have that in his contract clearly. It's like, you're not going anywhere. And he's like, I don't know how long's left on his contract or anything, but it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what way it's going to go with Willie, really, to be honest.
He'd have been the one to tell as well, really, in hindsight. I personally, I don't think the payoff of having Gnonto in the team is worth what we then lose with Brendan being out. Whereas with Noah Okafor, it can be. That makes sense to me. Like, I don't even think Noah Okafor and Willie Gnonto are comparable. I think Noah Okafor, I know we've not seen his absolute peak of him, but I think his levels above Willie Gnonto.
Yeah.
Levels and levels above him in terms of his output, how much of a danger. I think Noah Okafor scares defenders to death.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Gnonto, most of the time defenders find him pretty easy to defend against.
Yeah.
They channel him inside. He goes onto his right foot and then passes it into midfield somewhere. It's pretty much the textbook to deal with him. So, yeah, it's a funny one, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how his career develops. And I'm happy for him to still get opportunities. And like you say, I still want to see him do really, really well. Really, really well. But he's just not enough of a. There's no way that I'd be playing him as a replacement for Noah Okafor over Brendan Aronson. at the weekend. Not from what we've seen this season. You literally just can't let go of your agenda if that's where you're at. Because we've not seen enough. We've not seen enough of Gnonto since the 5 games in the Premier League, in my opinion. I know he did have some good seasons in season 1 of the Championship, but he lost his place to Dan James, and then lost his place to he was completely second fiddle to Chris Somerville, and then he completely lost his place to Manor Solomon when Somerville left. And you could argue that Jadon Anthony were in front of him as well when he was there. Jorginho Rutter was certainly in front of him, and then Dan James on the right hand side was in front of him through both seasons. And we all expected Gnonto to be better than Dan James. Dan James stepped up. This is how far away from starting games Willie Gnonto has been because of him, not because of Farke.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Let's get to some of your comments. We'll bounce around a little bit because we want to make sure we're covering everything. Gavin asking, will Palace rest a few ahead of their second leg? 0-0, not a great result for them. I was just pulling up the team sheet actually when I saw your comment, Gav, to see what kind of team they played last night, and I can see Wharton was in there, Brennan Johnson, Strand Larson was in there, Mitchell, so Assar. So obviously they were playing some of the big hitters. Yeah, do you know? I get flashbacks from this because I remember when we got relegated last time, and we played West Ham away towards the end of the season. And West Ham were playing in Europe at the time. They'd played on the Thursday.
I remember.
We were playing them on the Sunday. We'd not played for an entire week, and we were like, this was a team that 2 years before were the fittest in the league, and West Ham just ran through us. Yeah. So it's one of those things. I don't know how that stuff works. I think it's more what's between the ears that mentality wise that can carry you through. Obviously, West Ham were very relaxed at that time when they were playing us, and we were a bit tightly wound. What do you think with that? I mean, I can imagine Glasner wanting to sign off his Crystal Palace legacy with a trophy. They've got a great chance in that competition. He's soured a lot of the goodwill and good favour that Palace fans had towards him. But for him as a professional, if he can get that final trophy for them and just tweak that kind of reputation a little bit from where it's gone, do you think this is a good opportunity for Leeds in terms of if they're taking one eye off of Sunday, or is it annoyingly, one of them where they kind of they've got a bit of freedom almost because they've climbed up the league recently?
I think it's as good as a away game as we could probably wish to have at the minute, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Palace have had a really peculiar season. They've had a lot go on there with the manager, Mateta, players leaving, Eze leaving in the summer. They had a big change round all on the back of winning the FA Cup. They've struggled home and away, and they've really saved themselves over the last 2 or 3 weeks in picking up some rogue results because the form wasn't lending that way. They beat Brighton away, who were also kind of in and around that mire for a period of time, and then they beat, I forget who they beat, but they lost to Burnley from being 2-0 up right on the back of beating Brighton at home. And Burnley, we know where Burnley are, we know how good they are not. So it's certainly an opportunity. And we have to remember what we've done to Palace already this season.
Yeah.
We beat this Palace 4-1 at Ellen Road. We absolutely took them apart. They're in between these European ties. That is going to be where their focus is. I would almost feel certain it is. It's actually winnable, is that trophy for a team like Palace, because the way that the draws are, and some of the teams that are within that competition are not of the level. They've got a really tough game now because of that draw at home. That's a tough place to go now. So maybe they do rest a few. Maybe there's just a bit of an eye on it. Maybe we just want it a little bit more. It would be lovely to get us second 3 points away from home on the board. I saw Gav's comment a while ago. It feels like we're a little bit desperate to get these next 2 wins on the board, because I think everybody can kind of understand the quicker we get 2 wins, the quicker the season feels like it's in our hands and it's done. Yeah. If we were to win the next 2, nobody's saying that we're going down.
No.
The drama in our heads is the more games that tick down without us having them points on the board, the more likely it becomes that we don't get the wins, if that makes sense. Yeah. So the quicker we get them, the freer we will feel, and the likelihood is the more points we will then end up taking. You know, if we don't take the points quickly, we could end up finishing 39-40. We might still stay up on that. If we win the next two, the likelihood is that we'll probably finish on 46, 47, 48, because the freedom will then come.
It feels like that, doesn't it? It feels like we're so close to breaking away. We're so close.
Sunderland with that, wasn't it?
Couple of games. If we'd have won that, and I think West Ham would have been going into that Fulham game knowing they're 9 points away from us. I think it does something. Because there's just stuff that freaks me out. That Fulham performance freaked me out. And the reason why is you've thrown an absolute stinker in there. And it's like, no. That's because, you know, you look at the fixtures and go, oh, well, so-and-so got the hardest fixtures. So-and-so got the easiest fixtures. But then there's all different teams on the beach. I mean, Fulham, what are you doing? I mean, you know, it just drives me mad.
I know what you're saying, but in the greatest will in the world, West Ham have had no pressure up until this point. They now have pressure too, because once you get within touching distance, things start happening then. You start trying a bit too hard. And bear in mind, they've lost their best player for the rest of the season. You know, Cree Somerville being out injured now. And I mean, unfortunately for Cree, it's something that's always followed him. Yeah. He's always had an injury in him. Yeah. So that's going to be massive. Absolutely massive. And West Ham have not got great fixtures either. So they're not, in my opinion, and this could change, but they're not going to continue to pick up the same level of points. They have done unbelievably well since the turn of the year. Yeah. And what's even more impressive with West Ham is that it's not been as a consequence of the players that they've brought in, really. They've not made that much of an impact. I think Disasi's made a solid impact. He's been playing and been playing well from what I've heard. But apart from that, it's been the players that have been in there. Souček has been reintegrated and playing a lot more. I think he's made a big impact. Cree Somerville's form since the turn of the year. Jared Bowen, obviously, you know what you're going to get from him. Wan-Bissaka coming back in from African combinations has been really big for him as well. So, but I think that they will end up plateauing and slowing down. I honestly believe that the total will be. I've just seen Gav's comment. He's only out for 2 games. I read that we're out for the season.
No, I don't think he's out for the season.
Oh, really?
Well, it's interesting actually. So. Yeah, there were fears that it was like season ending, and then reports countered it. Nuno's come out and said he's missing for the next game, and we're going to see. Now, some people are saying, are the club scared to put out that it's a bad injury and it's going to be a few games?
Yeah.
It feels to me, it feels like, I don't know if you remember when, I think it was Rodrigo got injured and he was supposed to come back and he never did. And it was like, you just wonder what the psychological element is there. Because for me, whenever I've watched West Ham in this run, it's Somerville.
Yeah, they're one-man team.
If you take Somerville out of that West Ham team, even Bowen, I just don't think he's been anywhere near what Somerville's given them in this run.
Yeah, they have been a one-man team during this run, for sure. It's very much been give the ball to Somerville and let him run at players. You know, we were a bit like that season 1 the championship. That was our tactic as well, a lot under Danny Farker, was give the ball to Somerville, let him cut in on his right foot and whip him in. So, yeah, I get it. Look, well, let's just take it for what it is. West Ham, with or without Somerville, are going to be in and around this until the end of the season. They are. Yeah. And then, obviously, you've got the other situations as well. You know, Forest lose again at home to Midtjylland this week. Spurs find themselves 4-0 down in 20 minutes away at Atletico Madrid. I mean, Atletico Madrid are a great side, but Spurs basically conceded 3 own goals in that first spell. I mean, we'll get on to the manager, but the 2 from the keeper are just unbelievable. Van der Ven just throwing himself to the floor. The manager starting Kinski is, in my opinion, mental, and this is why that stinks. It stinks of when fans were saying last year, or even the year before, start Joel Robles, start Alex Cairns, start it were Caldalo last year, and we might have ended up being proven right, but most of the time it looks like what you saw in that game. And that's why managers don't do it.
It were a Trubka, wasn't it? I mean, it was just unbelievable. I mean, dragged off after 17 minutes, because I had the Barcelona-Newcastle game on, and commentator said, it's 4-0 to Atletico. And I was like, It only kicked off 20 minutes ago. I was like, I mean, astonishing. And do you know, I mean, I think Spurs as well, Spurs, because they're Spurs and they still think they're, top 6 club and the stadium and this, it was almost like they would turn their nose up at like a managerial appointment in that situation that would have made more sense. And they've got, we've got to go for something a bit fancy and a bit glamorous. Igor Tudor from managed Juventus. Now, the interesting thing is, if you actually look at his record, I think he did it a couple of times at Udinese, but he's never been in a relegation fight. When it was Juventus were struggling, but their aim was to get into the Champions League. And he got into the Champions League that season. It's like not the same. And it's been an absolute disaster. I mean, my concern is obviously that they get rid of him, they get someone else in, and then they get it right. But do you know what it is? Though? They don't deserve to get this right. They deserve to get relegated. It's like us when we were, employing Sam Allardyce for 4 games and paying him £1 million if we stayed up. It's like that level of desperation and chaos. You deserve to get punished. You can't just get away with it. You can't just think you can throw money at it and survive. I hope they do go down. I really do.
There's inherent deep-rooted problems there.
Oh,
this ain't Thomas Frank. This ain't Ange Postecoglou. This ain't now Igor Tudor. I think Igor Tudor's just made it worse because he was the wrong man at the wrong time. But the club has got deep-rooted issues. When you're seeing your captain Romero just flying in and getting sent off, when you're seeing Van der Ven getting sent off, when these situations with the keeper, the selections, players playing all over the pitch and out of position, arguing with the manager. I mean, this has been going on all season. The Jed Spence and Van der Ven thing was about December, January. This is been a problem, and I've said this a few times. We're talking about the team that finished 17th last season. We're talking about the worst team that's in the Premier League this year in terms of who was in it last year. This isn't that much of a shock, really. And then you throw in the injuries, because the likelihood is without the injuries, they'd probably be 12th or 13th, and everybody would still be spewing about the fact that they're having a terrible season. It just wouldn't look quite as bad as what it does. By the sounds of it, they're not getting any of these big game players back until at the earliest end of April. So they're going to have to deal with it.
Do you know, I want us to be out of it by then, Jay. I want us to be like in such a comfortable position where we can just enjoy the FA Cup run, however far it goes, and just revel in Spurs getting relegated. That would be lovely. Skip, I don't think Spurs changing manager will do anything if their players don't have the fight or confidence for a relegation battle. I think Tudor's doing a great job at Spurs.
They bring Harry Redknapp in because that's where it'll go. If let's just say, for example, they get thumped 5-0 by Liverpool this weekend, right? They're gonna do that. That's the change. It'll be either him or Tim Sherwood. It'll be a Spurs man, and it'll likely be Harry. I think that's a car crash. These players now.
God, he's got to be like late 70s or something now. Harry Redknapp.
Yeah. Oh, he's lost it, hasn't he? I mean, he's a lit. His mind's going a bit. You can see it and hear it in the way that he talks. And these players, they're not. This is not them listening to Harry Redknapp in 1985 or 1990. They're not going to react to that. Just like our players didn't react to Big Sam. These have their day, and it wouldn't work in the way that it would get the fans on side for about 20 minutes. And if Spurs turned it in, it'd just go super sour. And
well, I saw a thing saying about Dyche. They were potentially looking at bringing Dyche in, and Dyche turned them. Dyche is like, no,
don't want to.
It's like, what manager? I mean, it's a bin fire. What manager in the right mind is going to walk into that? Because even if you get relegated and think, oh well, I can be the man to bring Spurs back. I mean, if you think it's bad if Leeds go down and West Ham and these Spurs go down with their overheads, I mean, God, it'll be an absolute car crash. Absolute car crash.
The thing is, as well, at this stage of the season, Browney, right? What we've got 10 games left.
9, I think.
9. Yeah. At this stage of the season, when you're on 29 points, as Spurs are, teams are expecting to beat them.
Yeah.
Teams are expecting to turn up there and beat them. and they know they're soft, they know they're weak. So even if Spurs have got, a bit of a surprise package manager installed that could start to change this, these Spurs players have not shown that they've got the stomach for it anyway.
Yeah.
So in what world is it going to start miraculously changing? All I see is it getting worse.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't got a James Maddison that's fit and ready to go that could inject that little bit of difference and quality. They're looking at the likes, and this is really sad, they're looking at the likes of Archie Gray to inspire that team. I mean,
he's the only one coming out of any credit at the minute, isn't he? Like, and it's funny, isn't it? Because you've got, two ex-Leeds players, kind of the only players kind of driving their team. You've got Somerville at West Ham, Archie at Spurs. Yeah. It's like, come on, lads, don't play too well here.
Well, you're looking at, Xavi Simons to give a bit of quality. He's not asked. He's not bothered.
No, he's not. He's
not bothered.
There was a game of the week and he had a free kick and he just
didn't go around on social.
What the hell are you doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? You just be pulling your hair out if you're a Spurs fan.
Well, the likes of Van de Ven and Romero, they arguably are the best two centre-backs in the Premier League. Like, I would put them in that conversation. Yeah, they are literally elite centre-backs. And they're not bothered. They want out. They've waved the white flag, they want out. We've been there though, mate, haven't we?
Oh, we have, yeah. Robin Koch. I mean, he was a good defender, Robin Koch. He's gone back to Germany, he's done well.
German squad.
Yeah, but once they're tapped out like that, I mean, forget about it. I mean, Verba, do you remember Verba came in? He was brilliant. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you can see the wheel turning. Yeah, Weston
Weston McKennie's gone back to Serie A and he's back in Juve team again. And our team, we're full of them. Absolutely full of them. Rasmus Christensen's not actually done too bad. Bad we're in. So Mark Roca, we're a good footballer and he's gone on to do all right. He's been on the verge of the Spain squad. I don't know if he's got another Spain cap since, but...
Well, it gets so far, they're looking at the summer and the exit, aren't they? And it's a World Cup year as well, where they're going, well, I don't want to get injured. I mean, if you're Mickey Van de Ven, if you're Romero, you're like, I might not put my body on the line there because I don't want to miss the summer and then get a move. So, yeah, big.
They've had the most red cards in the league as well.
Yeah.
So there's a big ill discipline issue.
Yeah. Yeah, it stinks. Absolutely stinks. Gav's got a good suggestion. I think Spurs need Hockaday, yeah. And Skip, players get managers sacked, not the other way around. Player power is a real issue in top flight football. I just want to pull up this comment from Gav earlier. I thought it would be an interesting thing to go to. How will City react after getting smashed? I wonder. Hopefully take it out on West Ham. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, I mean, City, it feels like kind of last days of Pep a little bit, the way he's talking in press conferences and just the vibe. They've obviously fallen further behind last weekend with Arsenal in the title race. I don't see any way they go through in the Champions League now. Do you think, how does that affect coming into the weekend? Do you think they'll look at that West Ham game as, just get this put to bed as soon as possible? I mean, what I would love is for like a big demoralising scoreline against West Ham. That's what I'm looking for. And if City play like they are, my worry is league's a bit far away now, Champions League down, there's a bit of a slump with City. Is that actually a good time for West Ham to maybe nick something?
City are there to be got at, mate. They really are there to be got at. We deserve something from our game. Forest got something from theirs, which has kind of probably put pay to the tile. I don't think Pep will be seeing it like that, though. There will be other twists and turns within this season, and I think Arsenal will still drop points, and City have still got to go and play Arsenal as well. So they will be fired up for this, and the week that they've had could well help them going into the weekend. But this Man City team is not the Man City team of a couple of years ago.
No.
And I don't think Pep's the same that he was a couple of years ago either. We all have a certain amount of time in a certain place, whether it's manager of a shop or store or manager of or whatever. It's true. I know it. And you do end up burning out.
Over a bit, don't you? Like, I've seen it. I've got the t-shirt.
Complacency comes. That's why the likes of Ferguson and Wenger are so rare. Yeah. So rare. You don't see that very often, do you? I don't think you'll ever see it again, if I'm honest. No. You don't. You won't see another manager team for 25 years like Ferguson did. Not a chance. So yeah, it's hopefully it plays in our favour, but I think West Ham will be going into that game with full belief that they can get something. Where's it at? Is it at City or is it?
Oh, good question. Sorry, let me have a quick check on that because West Ham. Let's have a look. So it is at home. Oh, it's the Friday night kickoff.
Oh, nice. That's
so
good.
Friday night kickoff. So we can see how our weekend's going to pan out from there. Forest, they've got a home visit. Fulham. Oh, come on, Fulham. Fulham got absolutely slated for making so many changes and getting knocked out of the cup last weekend. And you would think that they'll be highly motivated to get a reaction. Got a very good manager, obviously, in Marco Silva. What's your instinct with that one? Like you say, bad result for Forest last night, and obviously quick turnaround as well to the Sunday game. I feel like them getting a draw against Man City has obviously perked them up a little bit, but it would be nice to kind of put them back in that hole. I'm just having a skip ahead to next week, Jane. It's Tottenham versus Forest, by the way. But Forest, Fulham, how do you see that one going?
This is another reason why the Opta stats have got us in the kind of position that they've got us in, because there is games against one another. Like there is going to be points dropped. We've got Spurs to play away as well, which is going to be interesting. So 8 p.m. Saturday night, not Friday, Gav says.
Oh.
You misreading that one?
No, it said, oh, it's me thinking we're on a Thursday. It is Friday today, sorry.
It's Friday, yeah. Forest, Fulham. Look, every week I expect Forest to turn a corner, and they just don't. And every week I see Forest have 25 shots, 20 shots, 30 shots, and then they don't win the game. And they did the same again yesterday. Have you seen Amari Hutchinson's getting battered for saying that it's face cream? Just been down his face. Don't come on, Harry. Don't say things like that. You're just setting yourself up, are you? But yeah, they're at home against Midtjylland yesterday. They have 22 shots on goal, 6 shots on target. They'll score again. They drew against City, and truthfully, they were 2 wonder goals. Morgan gives way with a bit of improvisation, and then Elliot Anderson with a great strike. They can't score goals. The lad up front, Igor Jesus, scored 2 goals in 20-some appearances. They've had Callum Wendo come in and go out this season. He's not even there now, who we were after a couple of years ago. Chris Wood's been injured pretty much all season. They've brought the big lad in, Luca, who was a Sean Dyche signing, who's now not playing. It's just a mess up there. But they have so much quality. Yeah, they have so much quality, especially in attacking wide areas. It just feels like they will, for whatever reason, pick up the points. But once you get to game week 29 and you still are on 28, 29, 30 points, you're in there for a reason, and you will probably still be in there come the end of the season. I did a video earlier, and I was looking at the Opta stats, predictions of relegation percentages, and also the points totals. And the points totals got us predicted West Ham 38, Forest 39, Spurs 40, Leeds 42, which tells you after 38 games that you're still going to be in and around it.
Yeah.
Like, even though we're going to be safe, according to them stats.
You're telling me we're going to have to, it's going on.
It's going to be, isn't it? It is going to be unless we break the mold and start picking up regular points. But once you are down there after 28, 29 games, it stands to reason after 38, you're also going to be still down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Coming back round to Leeds, what do we need to do this weekend? What type of performance? The away record, I think we're in the bottom 3 for away record this season. It's funny because this season I look at, we've had 29 games. How many poor performances have we had in 29 games? It must be
5.
I would say maximum 5. What are you hoping to see from Leeds? First of all, Beale's got to start for me. He was a major reason why we beat Crystal Palace last time on the set pieces. 4 set piece goals. Beale, I think, assisted 2 or something ridiculous. But what do you think going into this? Because this is one of those games, like, I said to you on our last stream, I was like, I don't like it. 2:00 London, Crystal Palace away. Just stinky. But really, when you look at the cold, hard facts, there's a big opportunity for Leeds here. And, Jay, if we could win, 34 points at this stage, 8 games left to go, it would just swing it so in our favour even more. Because I feel, even though, you look at all the stats Opta's got us at 4% relegation chance or something, it still feels until we can just break away a little bit more, it's kind of just clinging on to us a little bit. But what are you hoping to see from the lads? What do you think Farker will set up like going into this one?
Well, it's 7% now.
Oh, is it 7%?
It's 7. It feels more than that. It does feel like more than that as well. But it's hard to kind of compute the fact that we're only 2 points or 3 points ahead, but we've only got 7% chance of going down. It doesn't really equate, but it's the games that we've got to play, especially the home games. We could lose all of the away games between now and the end of the season and still stay up comfortably. We could. Now I hope that we don't have to do that, and that's why it feels like such a Brucey bonus if we were able to pull this one off and just get the win. They are there to be got at for sure. They are. I'm not about this, angle that we're now taking, because I've seen over the last 10 games we're in the bottom 3 in terms of form. Well, yeah, one game has swung. Yeah, over the last 10, we're on 10. Points. We're on 10 points over the last 10. Spurs bottom, and I think Burnley are second bottom, or Wolves are second bottom, one or the other. Well, we're third bottom over the last 10 on 10 points, but then Forest, West Ham, no, not West Ham. West Ham were 3 points in front of us after they won and we lost against Fulham midweek. So I think over the last 10, they've taken 3 more points than us, which makes sense because you think that the fact that we're now 3 points in front, right?
Yeah.
But Forest and a bunch of others were on like 10 and 11 as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're in and amongst that form of where we kind of need to be of a point per game. And now all of a sudden we want to just take an angle that we've been shit. Yeah, Michael in the comments just bring it up. More awful negative play for a draw, Fark ball. We've not been awful and negative. We've not. We've been of a certain standard in play that's kept us in games, that's seen us take points in really, really tricky circumstances. We've taken some really, really good points between now and January. And the games that we've got between now and the end of the season are far more winnable. Yeah. We do have to win some of them, though. I recognise that. Now, we should have beaten Sunderland. Even with the game the way that it went, we still should have won that game.
Yeah, we should.
If we'd have won that game 1-0 in the way that it should have gone, we'd have all been going, masterclass. Yeah, that's football. It's just football. Yeah. 100%. So we will pick up the points. I think that we need. I think over the next 9, we'll probably see us finish on 12 points. I've predicted 42 points. Yeah. So that'd be 11 points. I think we'll be in around 11, 12 points, and it'll be enough. But it's going to be close. There's going to be times where we might even be in the bottom 3, but the games that we've got to come will then play in our favour. Yeah, so we just need to keep us heads and stay chill. Come into this game individually. Sorry,
No.
BL's got to start. And I will come on here on Sunday night and say, what the F if he doesn't start? Because I won't be happy. He needs to start. Yeah, he's the best centre-back and he's playing in the centre of a back 3. We cannot justify James Justin playing at centre-back as a right-back if Jacobiol sat on the bench.
No.
If James Justin needs to start at centre-back, then Joe Rodon gets dropped. And I love Joe, but he gets dropped. Okay? I would still start with Ilya Gruev. I would still start with Ethan Ampadu, and I'd still start with Anton Stack. That is our best midfield. You will not convince me otherwise. Just because you don't like the fact that Ilya Gruev's a little bit of a crab walker, he is our best midfield. He's our best option. He's not his best midfielder, but he's our best option after Stack and Ampadu, especially away from home. If Noah Okafor's fit, I start him and I get 60 minutes. Yeah, I start him and I get 60 minutes. And I'd probably then start Brendan on the right side of the other side. If I'm playing Noah Okafor, I'd go with that kind of equation that has been working. Does that work out? No, it doesn't. Because I'm starting Gruev. Yeah. I'd have to drop Brendan. I think we need a little bit more quality to go and attack and win the game. And then bring Brendan on for the last 30 to carry us through the game, put that press on, don't let us, concede. We've got to try and see a game out when we're winning the game.
Yeah,
100%. We've got to.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think what I can see happening is it'll be the same team that it's been. For me, I agree. Beale has to come back in. I personally would like to see Beale in the middle, Rodon and Strauch.
Me too.
And then, like you say, Gruev and everyone. But with Okafor, I feel like you've got a real good option off the bench, depending on what's going on and everything like that. But you're right, got to see this game. If we get a lead, we've had enough chances and experience and learns, like, let's get it over the line if it does come to that.
If you start Brendan, you look to take the game long. Obviously, take opportunities when they come, but you get to 60 minutes, you get to 65, you get to 70 at the game at 0-0. You bring Noah Okafor on and you try and win the game. That's the way that you go about it if you're going that way. If you can get 60 minutes from Noah Okafor, you start him, you get a bit of a lead away at Wolves. Think of that as a bit of an example. There's only a way to win, but it worked like that. You can control the game in the second half. So we're not going to go there and crash bang wallop them, though, guys.
No.
Crystal Palace are a good side still. They're an established Premier League side, and we need to just lock in. This is winnable. Enjoy it. Lock in.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Right, we'll leave it there. Thank you to everyone who commented and got involved. If you're watching it again later, please do so as well and get subscribed to the channel. Myself and Jay, we will be back post Crystal Palace on Sunday to have a chat about things then. Let's hope we're celebrating 3 points. Thank you for watching. I've been Stephen Brown with me, Jay. Jay, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.